Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is my first ever video and I want to talk about why I think lawn aeration is a waste of money. I want to state that strongly because I read that videos with strong opinions get more views. But most importantly, I'm gonna run an actual experiment, so stick around to see the results. Let's start with this little diagram. Variations of this are all over the internet. Actually, back up. First, let's start with this fantastic quote. Skepticism is the chastity of the intellect, and it is shameful to surrender it too soon. So let's approach this topic with a little healthy skepticism. First, this diagram seems to imply that without these holes, your grass won't get water. But there can't be that many lawns that are so compacted, water actually runs off the top instead of soaking in. I'm thinking about rotary sprinklers and how they give so much time in between passes for water to soak in. So I'm skeptical about the water part. Second, when it comes to oxygen, the roots just don't need very much. I think it's wrong to imagine the roots gasping for air, buried alive in the dirt with no aeration holes to breathe through. Remember that classic diagram of photosynthesis from elementary school. Carbon dioxide gets converted to oxygen, and this important stuff happens in the leaves out in the open where the air is plentiful. As a refresher, the underside of the leaf contains stomata. That word's creepy to me because it reminds me of a hardcore album from when I was a kid. Anyway, stomata are pores that allow the exchange of gases during photosynthesis. Each stoma is protected by two guard cells that open during the day and close at night to keep water vapor from escaping. So that's where most of the action happens, and so much oxygen is formed that it needs to be expelled from the leaf. But the plant has a weak circulatory system, so not much of that oxygen makes it from the leaves down to the roots. And the roots do need some for cellular respiration as they burn glucose sent down from the leaves. The roots get oxygen through the tips of their tiny hair-like parts. All right, so my belief is that 1, the roots don't need much oxygen, they'll be fine. 2, fresh water from the sprinklers has some oxygen dissolved in it. It isn't much, but it makes fish happy. 3, aeration holes are too far apart and too shallow to even accomplish their goal. But none of my reasoning or speculation matters. All that matters is whether aeration brings results. And that's an area where I just can't find any evidence. I can only find assertions with no backing. I did find a couple of videos on YouTube showing before and after shots of a lawn someone was rejuvenating. But aeration was only part of the process, and that's the flaw with everything I've found. The advice and anecdotes always include lurking variables or confounding variables. For example, experts will tell you to combine aeration with fertilizing and overseeding. Overseeding usually requires extra watering, so how do we know it wasn't one of those factors that made the lawn look better? Or another one is even just the changing of seasons and temperatures. We need to disaggregate or disentangle all these factors to see if aeration really works. So let's move on to my experiment. I'm going to show you the source of my inspiration. I get a lot of these gifts on my front lawn. Each one is a perfect little experiment showing that fertilizer works. They're perfect because they control for all other variables. The same sun hit this grass as this grass. They got the same fertilizer, weed killer, and watering. And we see a clear difference that would be worth paying for. To copy this, I'm going to aerate a pattern in my lawn. It'll be like applying sunscreen and a pattern on your back and seeing it show up in your sunburn. Here's the aerator I rented from Home Depot for $100. It's very heavy. This lawn is a good one for the experiment. It has hard clay-like soil. It was neglected for years after a dog chewed up all the sprinkler heads. So some of it has turned mostly weeds and some of it in the shade has remained pretty healthy. I'm going to aerate zebra stripes that pass through all the regions of the lawn. I'll align the stripes with the fence posts so I won't lose track of where they are. Here's a picture of the pattern we should see emerge if aeration really works. In addition to this, I'll also fix the sprinkling system, apply weed killer and fertilizer, and I'll spread some extra grass seed around for good measure. But those won't ruin the experiment because they will be done evenly across the whole lawn. We will still expect to see the aerated stripes look better than the rest. So let's get started. Okay, now we just need to wait for the grass to grow. While we wait, I'm going to grab my daughter's microscope to see if we can actually see some leaf stomata. I found the microscope, charged it up, and I went out and picked a plant, one grass plant by its roots, so we could look at them. Let's take a look, see what we can see. All right, I'm going to look at the underside of a leaf. And I might have to add a little extra light. I think those might be stomata. Maybe. Let's change the focus a little. That's better. Yeah, I'll bet those are stomata. That's amazing. Very cool. Very cool, very cool. So those are the stomata. Now let's take a look at the roots. See if we can get one in focus. Oh wow. You can see tiny little specks of dirt on it. Let me see if I can focus better. Oh, this is really hard. I need more hands. See if I can get them down lower, closer to the metal. That's really something. Little tiny pieces of dirt stuck to it. Well, that's really cool. I think we ought to have microscope footage in every video. And we're back. Let's look at the results. Here's the lawn after 1 week. And here it is at week 4. No pattern. Remember that this is what it should look like if the aeration helped. And finally, here it is at week 14. I don't see that pattern. Lawn aeration did nothing at all, and that's my conclusion. Before you spend hundreds of dollars to get it done, you'd better be sure that your lawn is meaningfully different from mine. Otherwise, I'd say skip it and just stick with fertilizer. Now, of course, it takes more than one person's experience to predict whether it'll work on your own lawn. So I hope this video stokes some interest. I'd love to see more like it posted to YouTube, and I hope you'll be appropriately skeptical. Watch out for uncontrolled variables and also be skeptical when there is a conflict of interest, such as when a person conducting the experiment has a profit motive. Thanks for watching. In my next video, I'm going to show how to add stealthy ventilation to a stealth camper van. See you then.